Just getting that. Yes, please and thank you. Hold on. I thought I had that one out here. Oh, I do. Yes. Ooh, yes, I do. Comfort my people. The pastoral presence. No, it's not live. Calling the Church into Being, Chapter 14, page 153. Yeah, we're just doing random requests from class, from reading class. A lot of people like this book, Comfort My People. Philip Watson had suggested, I will check, I cannot remember, 60s I think, 1968, Library of Congress catalog card number 68-26037. The author wishes to thank the editors of The Critic for permission to reprint 2 chapters which first appeared in their pages. Philip Watson has suggested that the sacraments of the Church stand guard against the over-intellectualization of the gospel. It's a long word. Put that on the crossword, that'll be a fun one. Over-intellectualization of the gospel. We all run the risk of limiting the gospel. We all run the risk of limiting the meaning of faith to an assent to neatly scored sets of propositions about God. That is why some renewal resembles the pretentious writing of modern film critics who delight in a new realism, which in many cases is only the projection of the director's tortured inner world, a broken mirror in which man may see 1,000 splintered reflections of only parts of himself. The growing emphasis on personalization, personalism, and on understanding the Church as a people who participate in the struggle of life together, demands that, yes, I can hear what you're saying about that. I remember. I'm just trying to get through this reading, so I'm not ignoring what you're saying. It can be, what do you call that? Not misleading. Lead to altered perceptions or something like that. Not that it matters. Gospel is a very cool word. We were just doing the word origin to that not too long ago. Yeah, they do the word origin to that sometimes. I was just looking out the window. One of my baby angels I miss very much. It looked like he was kind of having a hard time walking. Could just be the way he walks. The growing emphasis on personalism and on understanding the Church as a people who participate in the struggle of life together demands that we focus on real life and on the ministry of the world that is made flesh in the relationship of the pastor to the community he calls together around him. The theologizing, I cannot say it right. The theologizing pastor does not preach only information about Christian beliefs. He calls the Christian community into being through the ministry of the Word by making it sensitive to Christ's summons to life. This makes him a central figure, caught in the tension between the two worlds, whose own person becomes a revelation of reconciliation to the Christian assembly. You would think so out of decent human respect and camaraderie, but they don't. Hey, Jamie.
Hey.
You doing okay? All right. The priest calls the church together through a preaching that is fleshed out in his own understanding of his relationship to the community around him. This is a task not just for his intellect, but for his whole personality. His own person becomes the focus or core point around which the community of Christians can gather as people who live in the Spirit together. That was one of my other angels. That was Jamie, my oldest son. That was my youngest son I saw walking through. I get to see him once in a while out the window. It's horrible. You would think so out of basic human decency. We're not dealing with decent people, obviously. We've been patient, you would think. How horrible. When you look back over the years, what's been going on and how it's been avoided and how the people within the state departments have protected them for different reasons. Christopher LaJoy in 2009 was trying to bring awareness to those things. They say he shot himself. I went to his funeral. Others say they saw it. Someone said he squealed like a pig. A couple of my sisters said they saw him at the hospital too. I guess they kept him on life support till his parents could make it there. He wasn't conscious or anything. Said he was just laying there with his brains out the back of his head and his eyes hanging out or something. They were standing in the blood, I guess. And they keep him on life support till the parents got there, I guess. So I guess it was real, according to them. Some people ask me that all the time. They say they fake their deaths just to leave and get out of a bad situation or something. Yeah, it is very sad and scary. Well, that's why we talk about those key elements, time frames, certain events, documented things, hoping that the people in this community wake up and drop the bullshit. And we try to explain to others how confused they are and they think there's no way. We try to talk to the parents and we try to explain to them, no, that was one of the things that drove Mr. LaJoy nuts as well. Yeah, their belief in ghosts, the cover up with drugs and the gaslighting, people playing stupid, and you try to talk to them. You look at the Frank and Marie Barones, you're kidding, right? It's very frustrating and disheartening because you can't yell at those people, right? And the people doing really horrible things are laughing and sweating it out on the sidelines, yeah. And fucking our children and animals, targeting mentally ill people, getting them to fuck animals and abuse retards. all of them are really bad people. Sometimes they just get caught up in bad things and fall for a lot of the jackass stuff, the tape games and stuff. Really bad. Yeah, we're just trying to focus on the now best we can. Acceptance, peace, harmony. Do the best we can to bring awareness, understanding. Where were we? I'll just reread that part over. The priest calls the church together through a preaching that is fleshed out in his own understanding of his relationship to the community around him. This is a task not just for his intellect, but for his whole personality. His whole person becomes the focus or core point around which the community of Christians can gather as a people who live in the Spirit together. I've tried to explain that to people. It's absolutely horrible, and most of the ones involved with that stuff have all moved away, or they're dead, or they just disappeared. Yeah, moved out of the country, some of them. Really horrible. This building got bought out in 2009, right around the time same month I think, that I didn't vaccinate my son. Mr. LaJoy shot himself. Well, I did not vaccinate my second son. He was born August of that year, 2009. Because of the complications with my first son, Jamie, the Lyme specialist tried to warn us. It's really scary, yeah. They don't like to listen to reason. Well, see, the frustration, as you can see over the years, and other people throwing out concerns with the vaccines, some of the really horrible ones they were making, giving it to teens to cover up cancers that were being caused by other vaccines. It's horrible. Then they were trying to roll out, and they did, the hepatitis and the vitamin K shot. I remember people throwing themselves on the ground crying about that one. Like, what is the matter with you? Why are you getting so upset about vitamin K? Yeah, and then when the shit hits the fan and I'm like, hey, they're like, yeah, how does it feel? I'm like, come on, you're not my enemy. We should work together, right? Yeah, sometimes they're not even able to speak. They've gone off in a drunken stupor, they kill themselves, or they just don't care anymore. All the pretty flowers. Yeah. Oh, makes you sick. This is a task not just for his intellect, but for his whole personality. His own person becomes the focus or core point around which the community of Christians can gather as a people who live in the Spirit together. Thank you, Charlie Brown. To establish the church, the priest needs a sensitivity that transcends the intellectual so that he may understand the groups who already constitute, by their bounds of relationship, a human community. His task then becomes that of helping its members to discover a deeper richness of union in the Spirit and to nourish and celebrate this in the sacramental life. He has neither call nor need to dominate a community nor to lead it in some totally predetermined way. He is meant to be the principal source of the Spirit, which allows people to establish deeper and more loving relationships with each other and to grow through these relationships in their fullness in Christ. The community of the church is essentially pilgrim in nature. It radiates out through its members to the world around it. In this way, it shares its own life to help other men find the fullness of themselves under the guidance of the Spirit. A priest is called then to assemble a community which celebrates not only itself, but one which senses and celebrates its mission of priesthood to the whole human family. The priest is meant to foster relationships among his people, to help them open themselves more fully to each other because of his own openness to the Spirit. His preaching could not be a distant intellectual proclamation, but a human giving of himself and his faith to the community. Just as the final revelation of the Christian good news is found in the life of Christ, so continuing revelations comes through the person of the priest in the loving and defenseless presentation to himself and defenseless presentation of himself to his people. That is why in Ecclesiam, Swam Paul VI could describe the modern apostolate as one of dialogue. This is not just an exchange of intellectual musings, but an interpersonal experience of the most demanding kind. Paul V. The recent revolution in catechistics centers on appreciation of the human. Hey, Robbie's home. Look at whiskers. The recent revolution of catechistics centers on an appreciation of the human dimensions of revelation in our day. Repeatedly in the Gospels, we are struck by the fact that the Christian pilgrimage is described by Christ in terms not just of intellectual commitment, but of self-discovery and relationship to others. Cadbury describes it in this way. The kind of knowledge Jesus looked for was not so much imparted information as insight achieved. There is in fact reason to suppose that he did not refer so often to what his followers were to be told as to what they were to recognize and discover. Jesus' complaint is that men do not recognize the implications of their attitudes. Much love, health, and peace. Yeah, thank you.